Coming up on tonight's broadcast, remembering the Holocaust, getting fit and staying healthy at OSU,
making sure you are prepared for graduation, and of course we have a weather update and a look at sports. All that and more right here on the Beaver News.
Good evening and welcome back to the Beaver News. It's great to be back. I'm Courtney Cossette.
And I'm Brenda Ivey. Today began the Oregon State University's annual Holocaust Memorial Week. Planned events include a public talk by author and Dean of McCully Honors College, Ann Kirshner, and a play based on Kirshner's book. There will also be talks based on the experiences of survivors of the Holocaust and how the Holocaust has been represented in literature. For more information or a schedule of events, check out the OSU main website. We now go to reporter Hayden Wilcox, who was able to spend some time behind the scenes with those involved in the play. Hayden?
In remembrance of the Holocaust, Oregon State University's theater and history departments have come together to create a collaborative piece titled Letters to Sala. Megan Haverman plays the role of Sala Garnsosh in her freshman debut in this heart-wrenching drama.
I play Sala Garnsosh. She's an incredibly strong and intelligent individual who basically works her way through the Holocaust.
The combination of the script and the atmosphere brings the letters and the characters to life.
I mean, we are surrounded by artifacts. I mean, you've got printings of the letters and pictures and translations, and it's really exciting to be here because, I mean, these are the letters we are legitimately reading on stage.
And it's one of the things, too, I think it's so exciting about working at a liberal arts, in a liberal arts program and at a university is that we can do cross-departmental projects like this that bring together things like theater, history, English, literature. I mean, so it's really cool.
The show has a dreamlike feel. It's really a sequence. It's supposed to have this fluidity. Yeah. So fluid, in fact, that you kind of lose your balance in between scenes. I can't imagine that that it was any different in the actual camps. I'm sure that every day was just difficult, but the same.
Letters to Sala portrays life in the work camps through the memoirs and letters written about friendship, love, and Jewish life in occupied Poland.
It's a unique opportunity for people to be able to see history literally come to life. I mean, most of the text in the play was taken from the letters.
Letters to Sala will be presenting a one-night-only performance tomorrow, April 17th at 7 p.m. at the Corvallis Public Library. Tickets will be free to the public. This has been Hayden Wilcox for the Beaver News.
Thank you, Hayden. It's still so hard to believe that one group could commit such devastating acts.
It really is, Brenda. But it's a good thing that as a society we refuse to forget and hold memorials like this one to keep a thing like that from happening again. Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, the Memorial Union Ballroom will be hosting a graduation fair for all you seniors where you can come by and get information about the ceremony and make contact with the OSU Alumni Association. During the graduation fair, you can also purchase items including caps and gowns, yearbooks, commencement announcements, class rings, and other souvenirs. But don't worry if you are unable to attend because you will also have the opportunity to purchase these items at the OSU bookstore after April 19th. Both Tuesday and Wednesday, the fair will be running from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. down in the MU Ballroom, so make sure to stop by.
Today also kicked off Spring Term's Move It Mondays, a group walk organized through Beaver Strides. The group offers opportunities for students and faculty to meet a buddy to walk with, solo strides that track your progress with a pedometer, or the Move It Mondays series, which takes place every Monday, rain or shine. Students meet at noon in front of the Student Health Services building.
I don't know about you, Brenda, but I could definitely use a group like that to get me motivated to work out and eat healthy. Many local residents already had fitness on their mind yesterday during the second annual Corvallis Half Marathon Race. The race started on campus with runners working their way out towards the covered bridge and towards the fairgrounds before finishing at the 50-yard line at Research Stadium. Proceeds went towards local charities, Card V, the Lynn Benton Food Share, the Vina Moses Center. So congratulations to all that participated.
In a continued effort to raise awareness of healthy habits, the Corvallis community, along with various campus organizations, held their annual Healthy Habits Day on Friday. If you were unable to make it to the event, organizers had several tips for students to stay healthy. These included getting enough sleep, including physical activity in your day, and making healthy food choices. You can also log on to the Health and Wellness tab of the Student Health Services website for more ways to stay healthy.
A national study interested in the correlations between physical activity, depression, and metabolic syndrome was conducted by Paul Loprinzi and Bradley Cardinal here at Oregon State University, which they ended up finding a gender difference is involved. Cardinal, a professor of social psychology of physical activity at OSU, and Loprinzi, who was a student of Cardinal's at the time of the research, looked at over 1,000 men and women from a nationally represented sample and found that women were on average only getting about 18 minutes of moderate to vigorous daily exercise, increasing women's chances of developing metabolic syndrome, which includes risk factors such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, weight gain around the middle part of the body. These symptoms occur together and increase the risk for coronary disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Loprinzi said that those who get at least 30 minutes of daily exercise are less likely to be depressed, less likely to have high cholesterol, and less likely to develop metabolic syndrome. Cardinal stresses the point how important the full 30 minutes of exercise each day is in order to reduce a number of risk factors and prevent depression. While their study does not address why women were not getting enough exercise, the authors said research shows that physical activity patterns often begin in childhood. According to Cardinal, research has shown that around ages 5 or 6, these patterns begin. Parents tend to be more concerned with the safety of girls and have more restrictive practices around outdoor time than they do with boys.
Thankfully, during this jam-packed weekend, the weather in Newport was beautiful, and Saturday was the perfect day for Oregon State University's Hatfield Marine Science Center to open its doors to the public for a peek at the research they do there. There were plenty of visitors out enjoying demonstrations that ranged from sustainable fishing to the genetics lab to a sea turtle necropsy. The Hatfield Science Center is located in Newport and is open daily from 10 to 5. Check it out for yourself. Admission is free.
I think sometimes people tend to forget that among some of the amazing clubs and organization that OSU offers is the Society of Automotive Engineers Formula Team, a group of students that design and build their own race cars for international competitions.
That's right, Courtney. And this Wednesday, OMSI in Portland will be premiering the documentary Relentless, which chronicles a year in the life of OSU students who are part of the champion global formula racing team. The team is currently ranked #1 in world ranking, having 28 first-place trophies under their belts. The formula cars will be in the lobby of OMSI starting at 6:30. The 35-minute documentary begins at 7:15, and the event is free to attend.
The city of Corvallis may soon be seeing less plastic bags around the community. On May 9th, the Administrative Service Committee of the City of Corvallis will be presented with an ordinance calling for a ban on single-use plastic bags throughout the Corvallis community. This proposal exists as a more localized response to Senate Bill 536, which had failed to pass through the Oregon Senate in June of last year. According to Drew Wilson McGrath of the Daily Barometer, the proposed ban, endorsed by Surfrider and Environment Oregon, could go into effect as soon as May 22nd, and calls for an additional fee of 5 cents on individual paper bag used in lieu of the plastic standard. This 5 cents fee is meant to function as a tool to raise awareness of reusable shopping bags as an effective alternative to potentially hazardous items like the plastic bag. One of the main issues at hand on the proposed ban of plastic bags is in regards to the negative effect it could have on local businesses that rely on the single-use bags to keep operation costs relatively low. A tentative date for the City Council's decision is set for May 21st.
On Friday, Oregon State University got its own little piece of history. The Memorial Union is the new home to the sculpture Socratic Way, made from concrete that came from the foundation of the World Trade Center that was destroyed during the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Students and visitors can view the sculpture in the MU West concourse.
Frequent customers of the Boardwalk Cafe and McNary Dining Hall are probably familiar with the short Asian chef in the stir-fry bar who doesn't stand still for a minute. People who do not know her might think that she is sometimes a little grumpy with her customers, but if only they knew her life story, their attitudes might change. Nguyen Hun has been working as a stir-fry chef at Boardwalk since 1996 and is a political refugee from northern Vietnam who endured many hardships in the attempts to bring her family to the United States, both legally and illegally, since 1969, reports Lynn Lay of the Daily Barometer. In an interview with the Daily Barometer, Hun talks about the cargo ships many refugees sought after in order to escape Vietnam after their land was taken by communists. She tells about the long and dangerous journey that takes months or even years and how many faced death during the voyage due to thirst or hunger. Hun and her family failed to escape from Vietnam 4 separate times. Finally, they stopped trying to leave illegally and instead waited for official documentation. The family finally made it out in 1979 after 10 years of trying. Hun has now been in the U.S. for over 30 years and lives with her husband, daughter, and 93-year-old father.
And for those of you who get the munchies when you study, check out the new sandwich shop on Monroe. In the old Big Town Hero location, you will now find Chiba Hut, a quirky shop with a menu themed around marijuana. While sandwiches are named things like Chronic, Skunk, and the Magic Mushroom, owner Adam Talbert says the atmosphere and the people are what brings customers back. The location is the 15th Chiba Hut to open nationally since the chain began in 1998. If Mexican food is more your thing, make sure to check out Qdoba on campus this Friday, where they will be serving up south of the border favorites with 20% of proceeds benefiting Benton County court-appointed special advocates.
With all this talk about food, I'm kind of starting to get a little hungry and might have to sneak a few bites as we head into our first break of the evening. But stay tuned because when we return, we will have a look at national and international stories, as well as a look at what you can expect in upcoming local weather. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Beaver News right here on Channel 26.
The death toll from the weekend tornado in Woodward, Oklahoma rose to 6 on Monday after a man in critical condition died. City officials told CNN his wife still remains in critical condition. The tornado struck after midnight Sunday, hitting the Hidden Valley Mobile Home Park in Woodward, Oklahoma. A father and his 2 young daughters were also victims of the tornado, and 2 other victims, Darren Jewell and a 10-year-old girl presumed to be Jewell's daughter, died when powerful winds rolled their cars several times. Woodward Mayor Roscoe Hill said, "The Woodward storm was one of the dozens of tornadoes that swept through 10 states throughout the Midwest last weekend. Authorities from Texas to Minnesota are assessing storm damage."
Whenever there's natural disasters like this, I realize how lucky we are to live in the Pacific Northwest, where we don't have to worry about tornadoes and hurricanes. For a look at the weather we are going to have to deal with, we go to Cassady Gilroy for our local forecast. Cassady?
Good evening, Clovers. Tonight I have your 5-day forecast. Tonight I expect to see some clear skies with a low of 37 degrees. And on Tuesday, we have some rain showers in the morning followed by some clear skies in the afternoon. The high will be 57 degrees and the low will be 45 degrees. Wednesday, the rain is back to Clovers with a high of 59 degrees and a low of 46 degrees. And on Thursday, we have more rain with a high of 57 degrees and a low of 54 degrees. And finally, on Friday, the rain continues with a high of 63 degrees and a low of 46 degrees. That has been your look at the weather for the week. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Cassady. It's lucky that we had such nice weather over the weekend and today because it looks like rain is starting to come our way.
It might not be getting too cold, but it's definitely going to be a wet one. In a Florida case that has spurred racial tensions across the nation, George Zimmerman has been charged with second-degree murder in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin. Prosecutors claim that Zimmerman killed Martin as a result of racial profiling. An unarmed Martin was shot in the chest after Zimmerman allegedly followed him, believing that he was a criminal that did not belong in the gated community. Zimmerman stands a good chance of appeal with Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which allows citizens to use deadly force when they feel they are in imminent danger. Zimmerman is expected to plead not guilty in his arraignment trial that is set for May 29th.
President Barack Obama addressed reporters at Summit of the Americas in Cartagena, Colombia on Sunday and called for a, quote, thorough and rigorous investigation into the allegations, with preliminary findings suggesting personnel of the Secret Service brought back several prostitutes to a hotel in Cartagena. U.S. government sources familiar with the investigation have told CNN. The alleged misconduct occurred before Obama arrived in Cartagena. The 11 Secret Service officers and agents have since been sent back to the United States and put on administrative leave, the agency has said. The U.S. military said that 5 U.S. troops who were working with the Secret Service are also under investigation for missing curfew and alleged misconduct at the same Colombian hotel. President Obama stated that he would wait until the full investigation is completed to pass his final judgment.
Proving that neither political party is immune to controversy, on the Republican side, some are taking a closer look at a potential First Lady. While her husband may be burning up the political trail, focus shifted to Ann Romney after comments were made on her qualifications of advising her husband Mitt Romney on women's economic issues. On the Anderson Cooper 360 show, Hillary Rosen made comments that Ann Romney had never worked a day in her life, and being a stay-at-home mom did not qualify her to advise on issues average American women face. Obama and other top Democrats came to the defense of Romney, with Michelle Obama saying being a mom is the hardest job there is, and this is just the latest in what is bound to be an interesting campaign.
For the 4th weekend in a row, The Hunger Games has dominated the box office, holding off 3 new wide releases from the top spot. The Hunger Games has earned $337 million only after 24 days of release, and seems to be headed for a final domestic total of about $375 million. CNN reports that the film beat out new releases The Three Stooges and The Cabin in the Woods over the weekend. By the Farley brothers' latest comedy, The Three Stooges, debuted in second place with an unexpectedly strong gross of $17 million. Fox spent a reported $30 million on the comedy, which stars Sean Hayes, Will Sasso, and Chris Diamantopoulos, and marketed to a comedy craving men and young boys looking for a more family-friendly movie.
Is Facebook becoming uncool? Some people think so, and Facebook's recent purchase of Instagram doesn't make people feel much better about Facebook. According to CNN, people's biggest gripe about Facebook comes from their concern of lack of privacy and the fact that Facebook profits off of users' personal details. Polls showed 28% of Americans view Facebook unfavorably. When it was announced that Facebook had made the purchase, there was a surge in people downloading and removing their photos from Instagram. While Facebook officials say Instagram and Facebook will run as 2 independent companies, it looks like users may be taking precautions to keep their photos private. While you debate whether or not to stick with Facebook and what this new purchase means to your life of social media, we're heading into our final break of the evening. Stay tuned, we still have plenty more coverage coming your way in just a minute. Welcome back to the Beaver News right here on Channel 26.
The man accused of killing 77 people in a bomb and gun rampage in Norway last summer claimed it was self-defense. During Monday's trial, Anders Behring Breivik told the courts, quote, "I acknowledge the acts but do not plead guilty, and I claim I was doing it in self-defense," end quote. Breivik's lawyer, Geir Lepested, told reporters after the hearing on Monday that it's important to Breivik that the court sees him as sane, and adding that the defendant had his reasons, but he did not state what those reasons were. CNN reports that experts have given different opinions about Breivik's sanity, which will be a factor in determining what punishment he receives if he is convicted. Norway does not have the death penalty. Prosecutors outlined his life before the killings, showing a photo of the messy room where he lived at his mother's house, listing his 6 failed businesses and referring to his many hours playing the online game World of Warcraft. Prosecutors said he had no job, no salary, no money, and was in no help from the government, and was living off his savings. Breivik was charged last month with committing acts of terror and voluntary homicide. The trial is expected to last up to 10 weeks.
384 prisoners escaped early Sunday morning from a prison in northwest Pakistan after Taliban militants conducted a raid. The raid lasted for over 2 hours and resulted in 4 prison officials being wounded. Among the 384 who escaped, 21 were high-profile militants and 2 were awaiting execution. Prison records were also destroyed in the raid. An investigation is underway to determine how the Taliban militants were able to orchestrate the raid.
The world of sports paid its respects over the weekend after the sudden death of professional soccer player Pier Mario Morosini, who collapsed on the field during a Series B game on Saturday and died later, reports CNN. The entire Italian football program this weekend was canceled and a minute silence was observed at major league games around the world in honor of Morosini. The 25-year-old was playing for Livorno on loan from Udinese, where he has been since 2005. The world has seen his astonishing talent, where he had made 18 appearances for Italy's under-21s. But his family life had been devastated by tragedy when he lost both his parents before he was 18. His disabled brother later committed suicide to leave Morosini alone with his handicapped elder sister. Udinese, who had loaned out Morosini to the Second Flight Club, pledged to help Morosini's disabled sister through their nonprofit organization, Udinese for Life, stating on their webpage that they will guarantee assistance to the sister of Morosini, who has now been left on her own. Authorities have announced that they will launch an inquiry into Morosini's death.
North Korea held a massive celebration this weekend, honoring the passing of 100 years since the birth of the nation's founder, Kim Il-sung. The elaborate celebration was also the first televised speech of new leader Kim Jong-un. In his speech, Kim vowed to never let his country starve and assured his people that they are prepared to deal with modern warfare tactics. Perhaps the most talked about part of the celebration was the launching of a rocket that broke apart in the air, but not before stirring emotional controversy over its launch from the U.S. as well as other countries. To end on a decidedly more positive note, we now turn to Tyler Dahlgren for a look at OSU athletics.
Thanks, Brenda. It was certainly a good weekend to be a Beaver fan. Thanks, Brenda. It was certainly a good weekend to be a Beaver fan. It was certainly a good weekend to be a Beaver fan, especially with such nice weather outside. The baseball team is coming off of a strong weekend. A strong weekend performance, sweeping Arkansas Pine Bluff, winning 16-1 in a beatdown Sunday afternoon at Goss Stadium. Oregon State 23-11 overall finished Sunday's game with a season-high 18 hits. 16 Beavers had a multi-hit game, led by Michael Conforto's 4-hit, 4 RBI performance. Conforto has been swinging a hot bat all season, driving in 14 runs in his last 5 games. His 4 RBIs Sunday gave him 50 on the year. The freshman's hitting for a ridiculous 387 clip and 75 at-bats. Taylor Starr made his second start of the season, allowing just 2 hits and a run in 5 innings pitched, picking up his 3rd win. The team traveled north today to take on the Portland Pilots, a game they won 5-0. Our 23rd ranked women's softball team wasn't able to escape the weekend with a road win, dropping the final game of a 3-game series on Sunday 8-0 against number 15 Stanford at Smith Family Stadium. OSU went down early as Stanford jumped on the board in the first, putting up 7 runs all before the first out was recorded. The Cardinals added 1 more run in the 4th to make the score 8-0, ending the game on the mercy rule before a full 7 innings could be played. During the loss, only 4 Beavers had hits, the only bright spot being senior first baseman Erin Guzzi, who extended her season-high hitting streak to 4 games, pushing her average just over 300 for the year. The loss drops the Beavers to 27-14 on the season, and they've won just 4 of their 7 conference games. Despite the rough weekend, Oregon State only needs 1 more victory to punch its first regular season with a record above 500 since 2006. Women's softball is off until Friday, when they'll face the Washington Huskies at Oregon State's softball complex. First pitch is at 3 p.m. That's all the sports we have for you tonight. Thank you.
Well, that's all the news we have for you tonight, but be sure to tune in tomorrow night for more Beaver news, bringing you the news that matters in your life.
Have a good night, everyone.